Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WISE Data Annual Task Checklist. My name is Jody Ann Hunter. I work with the customer service team, and I will be walking you through this session today. The objective of this session is to go over DPI's annual data cycles, the tasks that are needed, and also when they are needed. I will be going over some of the DPI resources that will help you, such as web resources and live training. This session will be roughly an hour and 30 minutes. So starting off here, the beginning of the year task will start off with accessing DPI applications, which includes setting up a WAMS ID or a WAM site account, Y Secure, DSA task, which also stands for District Security Administrator. We will be reviewing some of those user roles. Updating emergency contacts, which includes the school directory, WISE data portal, WISE admin, WISE ID, WISE staff, just to name a few applications that we will be looking into that will involve updating those agency contacts. Another task that we have here for the beginning of the year would be preparing your SIS. This includes setting up your or reviewing your vendor list, the EdFi credential API, and reviewing your key and secret code. Some other tasks that we will explore are uploading WISE IDs for students and staff and gathering student demographic information. So we're going to start off, or I'm going to start off here with the annual data collection cycle. So we are going to actually start in the spring snapshot, which usually occurs around February. And this includes preparation for the current year demographic data for the spring snapshot and roster data for the upcoming school year. The year end data starts preparation for that usually starts in July. And this includes the prior year career and technical education data, also known as CTE. And lastly, for preparation in September, that starts in September for the fall snapshot. This covers demographics, district library plan, graduation plan, and third Friday of September count, also known as TFS. There is some more information here on the snapshot preparation guidance page if you would like to select that page and bookmark that page for future references. So I feel like it's important uh, for you to understand what snapshot is and why DPI collects data. So what is snapshot? So snapshot is a statistic report that is collected on a predetermined. This serves as the permanent data source for certified reporting by DPI. The data that we collect are used for the following purposes, such as federal reporting, including ESA, public reporting in the data warehouse, accountability report cards, and also to help aid in establishing funding determinations such as IDA, high poverty aid, and maintenance of efforts, and many more. So, two of the most important times of the year for Snapshot is December and May collections. December snapshot captures data from three collections. These are year-end collection, third Friday of September collection, and October 1 child count collection. Spring snapshot captures student demographic data, which I will outline in an upcoming slide. So for the December snapshot prep, the data that is collected that we're going to go over right now is demographics. So demographic data is required for both choice and public schools. This includes race, ethnicity, gender, grade level, disability status, economic disadvantage status, and food service eligibility. The data that is corrected for demographics does this differ between choice and public school. So the demographics that's required for public school um, will only really include migrant status, ELL status, homeless status, and a parent in the military. The year-end completion data will include the previous year's attendance, completion, and the credential type and transcripts. For the May snapshot prep, this includes the student demographic data. Once again, different from choice public schools. This includes race, ethnicity, gender, grade level, disability status, economically disadvantaged status, food service eligibility, migrant status, ELL status, homeless status, and parent in the military. Please keep in mind that all the demographic data is collected for the current school year. For example, um, let's say for this year in May, Snapshot will then collect data from uh, 2023 to the 2024 school year, which will be the current school year. So we've covered the beginning of the year task. Now I'm going to cover the end of the year task, or just to name a few. So this includes reviewing the WISE Data Portal quality alerts and data quality indicators. And also please keep in mind that these tutorials do need a bit of some updating, but it is very helpful to um, dive into or to bookmark just for some general information or if you're needing some more background knowledge. Some other year of the end task here is to stay in contact with your SIS vendor. And a way you can do that is on the WISE Data Portal vendor resources screen. And also reviewing the data element closeout task, which is available on that first link that I had mentioned. And one of the very last end of year task is to start enrollment and registration documents for the new school year. So for demonstration purposes, I'm actually going to go over the WISE Data Portal quality alerts. So on this page, it shows you a tutorial for the WISE Data Portal alerts. Uh, the alerts are important to be sure that your school or district is entering the data that is needed for collection purposes. And you may review this page on your own to dive into system alerts, acknowledgements, and what those look like. This page also goes over what it looks like to acknowledge an alert and what it looks like when an alert is unacknowledged. And please feel free to also submit your feedback on this page as well. If anything comes up as confusing or you're needing clarification on something, or even just to add suggestions as well. All right. So now I'm going to dive in a bit more into the beginning of the year checklist task. So as mentioned, one of these tasks are going to include getting started with your applications, which is going to lead you to creating your WAMS credential. So to access or send data to any DPI or WISE applications, you will need a WAMS credentials, which will include creating an ID and a password. You may view some more information here on the WAMS detailed information page to help you go through this process. The process will include, or that page will include the process of creating your WAMS account, updating your WAMS when you change districts, and there is also a FAQ page with a few relevant or questions that come up pretty often along with those answers. So to access when you're using your WAMs and you're signing in to access any WISE or DPI applications, you will be starting off by using Wise Home. So you will be logging in using Wise Home. And just to note, to be sure that you're able to successfully log into Wise Home, we do ask that you're logging in directly from that page instead of bookmarking one of those applications because you may run into issues such as access forbidden or this page cannot be loaded. If you are going or if you are logging on to the DPI application using a bookmark tab from the application itself. So it is strongly recommended that you go to the Wise Home and Wise Square login and information page. And if you select Wise Home and Wise Home information, if you select that tab, there is going to be a link there where you can log into Wise Home directly. So some of the steps here to request access to WISE applications once you are logged in, and let's say, for example, you are needing access to WISE data portal. So you would sign into WISE Home using your WAMS credential. You would then select the Request Access tab, and you will be prompted or you will be directed onto the customer access form. You will then receive an email shortly after. So this is what the Wise Home login will look like on your end or for all of us. And there's two ways to sign in to Wise Home. You can either use your WAMS credentials on the left, or you could sign in using your Google sign in on the right. Please note, for first-time login, do not use the Google single click sign in on your very first login. Um, Many issues can arise from that, such as just web access, or you may run across other errors. And once again, so DPI does recommend, strongly recommend, for the very first sign-on to any of the WISE or DPI applications that you're using WAM's credentials as a best practice. Um, Using the Google sign-on once again will cause errors. And one of those errors is that if you are signing on using a single sign-on button on Google as your very first sign-on, you're not going to be able to come back in the future and sign up for a WAMS ID. You would have to choose either or. Um, the system will not allow you to sign up with both a WAMS ID and a Google sign-on. It's either or. And as I mentioned earlier, the request access to field or the request access screen is used if you're needing to request a DPI application. And here is just a visual for the more visual learners. So once again, you would go to, you would sign into Wise Home using your WAMS login credentials. You would then go to request access. On the request access screen, it will prompt you to enter whether you're a public or private school. You would then enter your district, your job title, and the application that you're needing access to. So when you initially log into Wise Data Portal, there are some things that you will need to complete. And one of these are going to be completing the Wise Home Agreement and verifying your contact details. You will also need to affirm your accountability for data collections and data quality through the completion of acknowledgement screens. And for newer staff, it is advised that you are assigned the correct user role for DPI applications, and these roles will be assigned to you from your DSA, which is your once again, your district security administrator. And I will actually be going through the role of a DSA in a few slides here. And also, please note that when you're verifying your contact details, that you're putting in the correct information, such as, which department you're with, and putting in a valid email and valid information. That way, if we're needing to contact you, we will have the correct information on file. All right, so one of the most important roles for application or requesting applications or just the application um, review overall is the DSA. So the DSA would be your district superintendent, or if you're a choice school, it would be your choice administrator, or your or that person's delegate. For DSAs, they automatically have access to all applications as an application administrator. Your DSA, as I mentioned before, can also assign you your correct role that you need for that application. The DSA can also see who has access to all DPI applications. They can add access for you if you are a newer user or a newer staff. And your DSA also has the option to offboard users as well. So let's say, for instance, you were with you had transferred from one district to another district. So your DSA from your former district has the option to offboard you. That way you're not having access to your former district's applications. And once again, your DSA will approve or deny your request um, based on their knowledge and or based on their discretion. So we do have a few resources here for DSAs and application administrators. We have the Y Secure Task for District Security Administrators page. There's a page here which goes over how to assign access to WISE Home applications for DSA or for DSAs. We also have a WISE Home and WISE Secure Information webpage and an application administrators page as well for the application admins. So as I mentioned before, when you initially sign up for WAMs and you log into Wise Home, you will be prompted to update your contact information. So right now I'm going to cover updating the agency contacts. So the first time when you log in after summer break, most DPI applications, once again, will prompt you to edit their contact information. And there are a few applications that does require the agency contacts to be updated. These include Wise ID, Wise Staff, Wise Admin Portal, Wise Data Portal, and the School Director Management. All right. So right now I'm going to cover data flow from your SIS. So the way the data flow works is, so you on your end as a LEA, you will enter your school or district data from your computer into your SIS, which is formerly known as your or also known as your SIS, Student Information System. Another term that's used is your vendor. So the data that is entered in your SIS is then pushed to WISE data. A validation check then runs through a validation in the system. The data that is validated is used the date and the time of snapshot. So it is important to check periodically in your WISE data portal to be sure that there's no validation, so that everything is correct, so that if there are any warnings that those are being acknowledged, because once the data is finalized and collected for snapshot, unfortunately that data cannot be changed. The only option that you as a school or district would have would be to submit a data errata letter, which will indicate the year, the data that was incorrect or missing, and as well as other information, as long as there is no PII in that letter, then that should be fine. And PII is personally identifiable information. So that could include driver's license numbers, social security numbers, bank information, um, or any information that will openly cause risk to an individual. So as long as that data errata letter does not have any PII, then that can be submitted through the WISE admin portal. But back to the flow from your SIS. So once the data is validated, the data is then loaded into the data warehouse. And once that data is loaded into warehouse, the data is then snapped for reporting purposes. All right, so I'm going to dive in here. Just being up to date with your SIS software and utilizing that vendor tool resources page. So we do advise that you stay on top of your SIS's latest release and that you check frequently to be sure that your SIS software is the newest version. And if you see here, there's a couple resources to stay up to date with your SIS. So you may feel free to check out the certification status vendor list page here and the EdFi credential submitting data to DPI page here and the EdFi credential application mini tutorial. So for all of these, we also have tutorials as well. And from Wise Data Portal, you may view the vendor resources from the Wise Data Portal resource screen, as you could see here, right above that filter tab right here. All right, so uploading Wise IDs. So DPI advises that a weekly upload of active student Wise ID files to the Wise ID application at the beginning of every school year until your SIS to WISE data transfers are well established. And please note that this assumes that you utilize a student information system with an identity integration system, also known as a API, to generate new WISE IDs. And if you would like to view a list of those student information systems that do utilize those APIs, please feel free to follow up with this page here. And this page just goes over a vendor list. So you're able to see if your vendor is on that list for the API. There's also a FAQ here. And once again, please feel free to submit feedback about this page, or if you have any suggestions, or even if you may have any questions or answers that you may want to add to the FAQ here, please feel free to select this option here. So, student demographic information is collected during the registration process and is needed for WISE data reporting purposes. Some of these information includes gender, race and ethnicity, ancestry, tribal affiliation, grade levels, economically disadvantaged status, and food service eligibility, disability status. And please keep in mind that the economically disadvantaged status is separate from the food service eligibility status. Sometimes those get lumped into the same thing. However, these are two different sets of data that needs to be entered separately. So we can actually go, I'm actually going to go through some of these student demographic data that is collected. So one of those, as I mentioned, we could start off here, or I'm going to start off here with gender. Um, so please keep in mind that prior to the 22-23 school year, that non-binary was not a reporting option. However, it is now a reporting option. So if a student may not identify with a male or a female, that option is out there to select. And also, for gender, birth certificates are not mandatory. So those are actually optional for the gender that is submitted for that demographic data. Another popular demographic data here is tribal affiliation. So with tribal affiliations, this pertains mainly due, this mostly pertains to Native American students who identify with their Native American tribes that is recognized by the federal government. And it is also important to know that this is optional. This is not a required set of data, or this is not a required demographic set of data. So, for instance, if you do not know the tribe of that Native American student, just to prevent errors in WISE Data Portal, you may skip that. You may skip that tribal affiliation data step. You don't have to enter that in your SIS. That is optional. Right, I'm going to go into the economically disadvantaged status. So for the economically disadvantaged status, um, this involves students um, who participate. This helps identify students who participates in the National School Lunch Program, or it also identifies if students may meet the income eligibility guidelines, and also if they're identified by using the alternate household income form. And some more information can be found on the web page here. And there on this website is also the alternate household income form here, which is available in both English and Spanish. You may select um, any of these links here to view more information. And once again, the economically disadvantaged status is reported separately from a student's food service eligibility. So let's actually go over the food service eligibility, since it is its own separate set of data. So the food service eligibility indicates whether or not the student is full priced, or reduced, or have or get free lunch from the National School Lunch Program. And more information can be found on our webpage once again here. And this just goes over a quick Q&A, and feel free to also submit feedback if need be. Right. So for data teams, so it is strongly advised to form a data team with a lead designated for every area of data collection. The team should examine and become a bit knowledgeable about data collection, sys entry, and submission to WISE data. That way, it's may not fall on just one particular individual. But for instance, in addition to current WISE data users, the roster data team should consult with specialists in coursework and CTE regarding public schools. Please feel free to view the WISE Explore page here for more information. You may also reach out to your local CISA as well. You could select this link or bookmark this link if you would like more information on that. So throughout the year, DPI, we do conduct outreach. One of those times would be back to school. So so back to school, off training was a really big hit. It started for the 2023-2024 school year. It's very detailed, and a lot of people attend this training, and it will occur again. And so, if you would like to sign up or to get more information, please feel free to visit the WISE events calendar for the training that is going to be offered this year. All right. So for the beginning of the year task, how to stay informed. So some of the ways you could stay informed is familiarizing yourself with new data elements and the submission process, gaining knowledge about the latest enhancements with release notes, reviewing errors and warning validations through the KBA portal, staying informed by regularly checking the notification portal, bookmarking and using the WISE events calendar to find upcoming events, training, conferences, snapshot dates, webinars, and deadlines. And also, please keep in mind that our customer service team, we do host a WISE user group webinar every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. You may also sign up for that group webinar to either ask questions or to just stay up to date and informed on possibly any changes. And you may do so by select the WISE user group webinar link right here. You may also um, bookmark this page as well. And I'm actually going to touch here on the KBA portal. All right, so the KBA portal, this helps if you have a validation, and you're needing to know what that validation error code is, why it's showing, if it's going against business rule logic, and how to fix that validation. So the KBA stands for Knowledge Based Article. So that will be your best friend. If you are signed into Wise Data Portal, you may view the knowledge base article by selecting the error itself, and it will direct you to that page. All right. So just a few quiz questions here to see if you were following along so far. So the first question that I have here is true or false? Student demographic information is collected during the registration process and is needed for WISE data reporting purposes. All right, let's see. So that answer is true. So student demographic is collected during the registration process. That is One of the beginning of the year tasks. Right. So the second question here is the attendance data element is mandatory for which schools? All right, so the answer is for both choice and public schools. So please keep in mind that the data elements collected for May and December snapshot may differ based on if you are a public school or a choice school. But for the attendance, it is mandatory for the attendance data element. It is mandatory that this data is collected for both choice and public schools. All right, question three. True or false, security administrators have access to offboard users and add access for former and new staff members. The answer is true. So once again, just a quick review. So your DSA does have access to um, grant you a role that is appropriate for the application. They also have access um, to grant you access to a WISE or DPI application, and they can also offboard you as well. So if you are leaving a district, your former DSA does have that option or that tool to remove that access from your former district. Right, question four. Where can contacts be updated for WISE data outreach? It is a WISE data portal. So just a quick reminder, when you are entering your contact details in Wise Data Portal, we do ask that you are, for one, entering the department that you're in. So if you're for attendance, please select attendance. If you are for CTE, please be sure to add that information as well. And also, please note that um, the contact screen, when you are entering your contact details in Wise Data Portal, you're able to select if you are a primary, a secondary, or a generic contact. We do ask that for the primary contact, that this is the person that mainly uses Wise Data Portal, so that when customer service or another department is doing their outreach, that we're able to get in contact with the correct staff. And the secondary person would be the person that we would reach out to if the primary contact is not available. For the generic contact, that can be anybody. All right, so I'm going to switch over here to the December snapshot checklist task. So we covered the May checklist. So we're now going to get into December. So please, once again, keep in mind that the data collected in May for snapshot is more so a preparation for the data that is needed in December. And there is a lot of data that is snapped in the December snapshot. The main collections are discipline, roster and CTE data, year-end data, graduation plan and high school graduates, third Friday of September enrollment, October 1 child count, demographics, and the district library plan. So, part of the December snapshot is the third Friday of September enrollment count, also abbreviated as TFS. So, TFS includes the count date status, the count inclusion, um, Friday of September data, submitting districts, districts of residence, district school of accountability, and many more. Um, there's also some helpful resources here if you would like to bookmark these pages, which is the enrollment data quality audit page and the third Friday of September data quality audit page here as well. So another part of the December snapshot is the October 1st child count. This includes the count inc- inclusion, special education, PPP, which is abbreviated for parentally placed private enrollment type, educational environmental codes. And for choice schools, if you are a part of a choice school, you are excluded from this collection. So for the year-end data collection, which is another part of the December snapshot, um, this data is covered in the end of year section. You could find all the data elements that fall under each collection by visiting the WISE Data Elements landing page here. You can select the collection filter if you would like, and then you can click the apply button. And I'm also going to review this page here too. So the data elements page is actually packed with a lot or all of the data elements that's needed for your specific school type for collections, whether you're a choice school or a public school. You also have the option to download the data elements, all the data elements. That way, if you're needing to take notes or you're just wanting to have that information on a physical copy, you do have the option to download it here. On the data element page, there is a few filters here. So you may select your school type. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to select public schools. You may also select the collection. Let's say it's for attendance, and then the year. So I'm going to do the previous school year. Apply. So once you select those filters, you will see the data elements that is required for your school type. So as you've seen, I had selected attendance. So this is not only required for public schools, as I had selected, but also for choice schools as well. So this page, like I said, is very helpful, especially if you are a newer staff. And some of this terminology and information may be a bit foreign, especially for the newer folks out there. So I would 10 out of 10 recommend this page. All right. So another part of the December snapshot is the year-end student data collection. This includes data from the previous academic year, which includes attendance, food service, eligibility, disability status, economically disadvantaged status, gender, grade level, homeless status, immigrant, parent in the military, race and ethnicity, discipline, district library plan, dropouts, and enrollment types. So here's a visual of what is collected for the December snapshot. So once again, the snapshot that's collected is different amongst public and choice schools. For instance, as you could see here, um, for the December collections for public school, the previous year's discipline and CTE RASA data is collected or required. However, for choice school, it is not, and that goes for a few other data collections as well. So one of the many ways that DPI initiates the examination and engagement of the year end during the fall season is through outreach. So this will be either someone from customer service reaching out to notify you that there's data that's needing to be either edited or changed, or there's data that's missing. Um, so DPI will be reaching out to get you prepared for snapshot for the May snapshot and the December snapshot. And please feel free to visit the WISE events calendar to find webinar and in-person trainings here. You may also visit the Snapshot Preparation Guidance webpage. And we also, once again, have the data quality auditing page, which this page was actually mentioned in a few slides prior as well. Please feel free to bookmark these. All right, so a quick quiz time. So who should submit discipline data? So the answer is public and non-district independent charter schools. Right, next question. Which of these months has a deadline for a snapshot? And the answer is December. So please keep in mind that once again, snapshot is collected twice a year in May and in December. Right? Question 3, true or false? Roster data is mandatory for all grade levels from K4 to 12th grade. The answer is true. So roster data is mandatory for all grade levels. All right, next question. December snapshot captures data from which collections? It is going to be from three different or not three, from a few different collections. So year-end collection, third Friday of September collection, October 1 child count collection, and demographics. All right. So I'm going to get into the May snapshot checklist task. So for the May snapshot collections, the student demographic is mapped in the May snapshot, which is covered for the data elements that are covered are gender, race and ethnicity, grade level, economic disadvantage status, food service eligibility, disability status, English language proficiency, language instruction services, homeless status, parents in the military, and immigrant status. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to review the grade level. All right, so the grade level placement includes the level of educational program for that student. It also refers to the course levels performed um, by the teacher staff assignment. And this data element is required for both choice and public schools for reporting purposes. And feel free to review a bit more on this page right here. You may also download the grade level descriptors here if you would like to take notes. And there is also a Q&A option on this page as well if you have any frequent questions. And if you would like to submit feedback on this page, once again, it's going to be all the way down here at the bottom. All right. So one of these spring snapshot or some of these spring snapshot tasks is the economic disadvantage status. That is an important data element. The economically disadvantaged status is determined by household income information, and this must be reported for students regarding of whether or not the school participates in the National School Lunch Program. And once again, this is different. This is a different data element from the food service program. And more information can also be found on the web page here. So please bookmark if needed. All right. Um, and just like the December snapshot, the data that's collected for public schools does differ from choice school. An example of that would be for ELL, homeless, migrant status, and parent in the military data. These are required for public school. However, it is not for choice schools. So, for the spring snapshot, DPI does provide some year-end training. If you want to see more opportunities for this, you may submit feedback here from this link here to tell us about your needs. This training will cover details on how to complete the year end task in your SIS. Your SIS vendor may also offer training. So we do ask that you just stay in contact, which was one of the which was one of the task that we do strongly advise to stay connected to your vendor. So if you're able to reach out to your vendor tool representative, they should be able to give you more information. All right, so just a quick quiz once again, um, just for review. What does ELP stand for? All right, so ELP actually stands for English Language Proficiency. Right, next question. Which of these are part of the student demographic information that is needed for reporting? And it is going to be gender. So please, if you can, you may refer back to that demographics list, which does contain the list of all of the demographics that are required based on if you're a public school or a choice school. And you may also review once again the data element page, which is also very helpful. All right, so I'm going to dive into the end of the year checklist task here. So the end of the year clo closeout task includes data and includes attendance, credential type, which would be the diploma type, discipline, exit dates, exit types, food service program exit date, roster, separate records, and the term completion indicator. So I'm just going to explore a few of these for demonstration purposes. So for instance, exit types, which this is actually very, this is very popular. So the exit type usually just, or it does describe the circumstance which the student had exited from the school. So there's actually a few codes that are used here for exit types, and this is actually a very popular or common ticket that we receive here at customer service. For instance, a student, we may get a ticket from um, an LEA asking, how do we exit a student that had transferred out of state, for instance. So one of those codes would be TOS, transfer out of state, known to be continuing. And also we do have exit codes here, as you could see, for death, which would be DE, or if that child is under the age of 6, also known as below compulsory age, it would be BCA. And there are a few here. But if you ever need some assistance on which exit type to use, please feel free to submit a help ticket. We're always more than happy to assist you. Um, However, just note in the back of your mind that this information is also readily and always available, on this web page here as well. All right. So as I mentioned before, DBI does begin and review outreach at the end of each fall. When the customer service team begins their fall outreach, we do suggest that you start looking at your year-end data first and then dive into the new school year data after. It may be confusing to know which data to look for each year, so we do have a guidance to focus on what to look for and what is safe to ignore, which I'm going to go over here on the next slide. So some of the data to focus on for the current year would be October 1 count, special education records, student demographics, student enrollment, third Friday of September count. For the prior year, which would be the last school year, 2022, 2023, um, the data that needs to be focused on would be for attendance, the program data, discipline, roster data, diploma information, special education records, exit dates, and exit types, and student enrollment records for the prior year. So about 2 years dating back. For this data, if we do outreach regarding any data from 2 years ago, this would be mostly to resolve data issues such as like errors and warnings with any outstanding full-term dropouts from 2 years prior to that school year. And we do advise that you can ignore data issues such as validations with dropout data from 2 years prior that may be ignored. All right. So as I mentioned before, so one of the questions here is, what can you do when you have a question or need further clarification? And as I mentioned before, you may submit a help ticket. All right. So where would you go to get help on processing, supporting data informed decisions, making for school and district leaders? So it would be Wise Explore. All right, next question. True or false? Training opportunities are available 24/7. The answer is true. E-learnings can be accomplished at any time. There's plenty of e-learning modules on DPI's website, and we also do have live in-person trainings as well as virtual trainings, which can be viewed from the WISE event calendar, which that link has been mentioned in a few previous slides if you would like to uh, go back and bookmark those or select that page. All right, so these are some great resources here. All right, and I actually do want to cover the um, the help ticket where you would go to request help. All right, so you would go on DPI's website. Just going to start off on this page here. Type in Wise Help Ticket. All right, so if you type in Wise Help Ticket, this is where you would go to submit a ticket here. So on this page, you will enter your district. You would select if you are a private school, you would select the application that you're needing help with, the SIS vendor, which is optional. It is advised or it is mandatory that you enter your first, last name, your phone number, your email address for the description of the um, issue. Just for some great tips, we do ask that you're as descriptive as possible. Um, for instance, some examples would be if a student is throwing an error. So in that description, if you don't mind, entering the student WISE ID and the error that the student is throwing, or if you're having issues with a specific application, we do ask that or we do advise that you will enter the steps that you have already taken. And for instance, if you are receiving, let's say, a web page error or error with an application, we also do suggest sending in a screenshot. That way, we're able to see exactly what screen you're on your end. This also helps to be sure, or just for time management. I can definitely understand how frustrating things can be sometimes when things may not be working out on your end. So, just for time management purposes, if you're able to give as much detailed description as possible in that description of issue box here, the response time may be a lot quicker, and it may be less research that is needed on our end. That may be a quicker turnaround time for when we do respond to you from our customer service end of things, or also from other departments as well, because um, depending on the nature of your case, it may go to either customer service or another department. Once again, depending on the nature of your case. And as mentioned, we also do have a WISE training web page if you would like to sharpen up your skills here. And there we offer WISE training for a variety of things. This includes choice private schools. We assist you with data reporting, data categories, data security, Ed5 credential API, school directory, management portal, WISE Ash for districts, WISE admin, WISE data portal, WISE ID, just to name a few. And if you also, once again, want to submit feedback or have suggestions on something that you feel like you could use some training on that's not in this list. Once again, please feel free to submit feedback about the web page here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and click on one here just to give you a little tutorial on what that web page looks like. For instance, if you're needing to sharpen your skills for Wise Data Portal, and you're receiving alerts or validations, then you would go to Wise Data Portal alerts. If you're needing further instructions on how to update your agency contacts, which I did mention in this session. You could click here and it will go over that step by step for you. Or if you're needing more information on the Wise Data School roster details, you can click on that here as well, and it would walk you through that. We also do have a few e-learning here for Wise User Basics, and I'm going to click on that here. And this will load you to a course page just to get you more acclimated with WISE. So you could become wise with WISE, as they say. All right. And one of another helpful WISE learning guide that we do offer is for WISE staff. And I do know how time consuming it can be, and it can be a lot of information, especially during our spring snapshots where schools or districts have to enter their preliminary audits. So this would actually be a great page to check out. So this kind of just goes over why staff info, help and user guides, and just gives you an overview. There are screenshots here for the visual learners, and there also are a few videos on here as well. And also, just as a quick reference, please feel free to join the Google communities, which is which had actually just recently changed over to Teams. And in this community, you'll be connected. You'll be able to stay connected and receive communications from DPI. And some more information can be found here. If you are needed to be added to the Google communities, please submit a help ticket, and someone from the customer service team will be more than happy to add you to that space. Some more links is available here on our website as well. And you can also submit a help ticket from this page as well, if you ever come across this page. And once again, you can select the option for a help ticket here as well. All right, let's see here. And as you can see here, you could actually go directly to, you don't even have to scroll down on this entire page here. Um, there's actually a list here of a few WISE categories that e-learnings and trainings are provided for, if this is a little bit quicker for you. And if for any reason you had missed the WISE Data Conference, um, which does cover a very of material and a lot of information, feel free to visit the WISE Data Conference tab here. And you can also view the WISE events calendar from this page as well. So definitely utilize these pages in WISE Data, or not Wise Data Portal, but on DPI's website to get you more acclimated with the information. Once again, if you're ever needing assistance or if you're confused about something, always reach out for help. Submit a help ticket. If you have any questions or suggestions, you may also scan this barcode here to provide us with your feedback. Thank you so much for attending the WISE Data Annual Task Checklist. And I do hope you all have an amazing day.